You know, it always strikes me when you start looking at a new language, never just about memorizing words, is it? It feels more like getting a whole new perspective.
Oh, absolutely. It's like unlocking a different way of seeing things. Language really does shape how we perceive the world around us.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. You, one of our listeners, actually sent us this really interesting handbook, Greetings from the Teklimakan. And it's not your typical phrase book at all.
No, it seems much richer. It's got the lessons,
Well,
dialogues, grammar points,
yeah.
but also these language use notes you mentioned. Those are often the key to sounding natural.
Right. They get into the how people actually talk. So our mission today is to unpack this handbook, pull out some key insights into modern Uyghur, and see what it tells us, not just about grammar, but about the culture, the perspective woven into the language.
A practical glimpse, going beyond just the rules. I like it. Where do you think we should start?
Well, lesson two, the good and the bad, feels pretty fundamental. How a language handles basic value judgments. That seems like a good entry point.
Definitely. Okay, so it introduces Yakshi for good, straightforward enough. But then for bad, we get Eski, Nachar, and Yaman. That's interesting right away, 3 words.
Yeah, and they're not just interchangeable, are they? Eski. The handbook says it can mean old, but if you call a person eski, like u adem bik eski, it's not about age. It's a moral thing, like they're rotten.
Or fundamentally flawed. Yeah. It carries a strong negative judgment. And even with objects, an Eski kitab, an old book, isn't just aged. It's kind of tattered, worn out in a bad way.
Which is different from kona, another word for old, which seems neutral. A kona kitab is just an old book, no judgment implied.
Exactly. So Eski packs this extra punch of disapproval. It suggests something's wrong with the thing itself, materially or morally.
Okay, the nachar. That seems more about quality, like a nachar liché, a poor quality dictionary.
Precisely. Or butamak nacher. The food is substandard, it's not good quality. It's about the standard or condition, less about inherent badness.
And the last one, yaman. That sounds pretty strong, evil or terrible.
It is strong. The handbook notes that adults might use it less often because it's so intense, while kids might throw it around more easily, like saying you're bad.
Huh. So even just looking at bad, you get these nuances about moral judgment, quality, intensity, even how different age groups might use the words. Fascinating.
It really is. Little windows into cultural values.
Something else from that early lesson. The book says there isn't really a word for too, as in too much. Instead, they use bek, meaning very. So bekchung is very big, not too big.
Yeah, that's a common difference across languages. Instead of marking excess specifically, the focus stays on the high degree. It's a subtle shift in conceptualization.
Right. Okay, let's jump to lesson 5, at the market. This brings in cases the accusative plus ni and the ablative plus din. These are sort of the grammatical nuts and bolts.
Absolutely fundamental. The accusative plus ni usually marks the specific thing being acted on the definite direct object. Like men almini yakshi kermen. I like the apple. That plus ni specifies which apple.
And the ablative plus din, its basic job is showing movement away from something, or origin. Like ular gujidin, they are from Guja.
Exactly, origin or source.
Yeah.
But what's really useful here is how plus din is required by certain postpositions. Words like bashka, barun, kiyin.
Ah, right. Postpositions, they come after the noun, unlike our prepositions. So, zoredin bashka menmu barimen, it's zora from besides I also will go. Besides zora, I'll go too.
Perfect. The plus din is triggered by bashka. Same with tamakin bruan dora yemeng, meal from before, medicine don't take. Don't take medicine before the meal. Tamak needs the plus din because barun follows it.
It's a different structural logic than English, isn't it? Marking relationships with suffixes and following words.
Very much so. This lesson also brings in plurals with plus lar, kitab, book, kitablar, books. These are pretty regular.
Mostly, yeah. But then there's this language use note differentiating tonu and bil. We probably just translate both as no initially.
But they're distinct. Tonu is about being acquainted with someone, familiar with them personally. Men, ablizni, tonimen. I know Abliz, I've met him.
Okay, so it's personal familiarity, whereas bil is what? Knowing facts.
Knowing facts, understanding concepts, knowing how to do something. You'd use Bill for, I know his phone number, or I know how to swim. It's informational or skill-based knowledge.
That's a really useful distinction. It reflects different kinds of knowing, which makes sense.
It does. It adds precision.
All right, moving on. Lesson 6, school life. Numbers and time. We get cardinals, ordinals, 112. The ordinal suffix is plus, Chi, right? Beer, one. Birinchi, first.
Yeah, pretty consistent. Iki, 2, ikinchi, second. And it works for bigger numbers too, like Yigarminchi, 20th, Yuzinki, 100th. It's a nice regular system.
It makes it easier to learn. The lesson also covers telling time, days of the week stuff you definitely need. Then there's a suffix plus like. This thing seems to pop up everywhere.
Oh, it's incredibly productive. You
Yeah.
stick it on a noun, and often you get an adjective related to that noun. Like edijin is morning.
So edijen lik tamak is morning-related food, breakfast?
Exactly. Or Deris is lesson. Derslik kitab is lesson-related book, textbook. Su is water. Suluk shaptal is watery peach, juicy peach.
It's like a little adjective factory. Very efficient.
It really is. The lesson also drops in some useful adverbs. Yen, again, quiche, night, aksham, evening, and nouns like kitam, time, occasion, a dash, namesake, little building blocks.
And verbs like yurdum, to help, aware, to be troubled or inconvenienced. Yeah, you can see how you'd start putting sentences together with these pieces.
Definitely. These basics are crucial.
Okay, let's skip ahead a bit to lesson 10. Being and nothingness sounds profound. It introduces bar and yoke.
Well, they are fundamental. Bar and yoke are the existential adjectives. Bar means is, exists, there is sere, have. Yoke is the opposite, is not, doesn't exist, there isn't, aren't, don't have.
So mende klem bar at me pen exists, I have a pen. And Universitat Norwegisk yoke, at University Norwegian exists not. There are no Norwegians at the university.
Precisely. They cover existence and possession. Very core concepts.
Then, comparisons. The structure is A, B plus din as J. So A is adj then B. That plus din pops up again.
It does. It marks the standard of comparison. So, Turpin Keshkar and Isik. Literally, Turpin Kashgar from hot. Turpin is hotter than Kashgar. Kashgar, being the point of comparison, gets the plus din.
Okay, that makes sense. The from indicates what you're measuring against.
Right. This lesson also mentions the relativizer key, creating phrases like N1 plus diki N2, the N2 that is in it N1, and N1 plus ninkit in quantity, a quantity from N1. Ways to link ideas.
And how adjectives and numbers can sometimes just act like nouns. Chongi meaning the big one.
Yeah, or ikimiz for the two of us. It's efficient. The context makes it clear you're referring to the big thing, or us two.
And finally, a quick mention of a partitive plus din taking a part of something, and the little question particle chu for follow-ups like, and what about?
Chu is great for conversation flow. N plus ning chu. And ends like, I have apples. And yours. Very natural.
Let's look at lesson 12, going on vacation. This gets into modality, possibility, necessity, ability. First up, the suffix. Yala, the can-do suffix.
That's a good way to think of it. It means can, or to be able to. Attach it to the verb stem. Okwo, read becomes okwela, can read. Very useful.
Then the modal adjectives. Kerik, lazim, zurur, all meaning something like necessary, and mumkin for possible. They often work with the ekis gerund.
Right. The akish ending makes the verb act a bit like a noun, the act of doing something. So men berishin kerik is literally, my going is necessary, I need to go.
Okay. And there's also a reciprocal voice using akush. That's for actions done together.
Exactly. Mutual actions. If sozl is to speak, sozlish is to speak with each other, to converse. It implies interaction between parties.
The lesson also mentions akin, a speaker stance particle. What does that do?
It signals that the speaker didn't witness the information directly. It's based on hearsay or inference, like adding apparently, or it seems, ukeldi iken. He came, apparently.
Indicating the source or certainty of your knowledge. Subtle but important.
Very. The lesson also mentions the reflexive as, self, and little phrases like azrakmu, not even a little, and plus ga kara, look after, take care of, nice idiomatic bits.
Yeah, the details that make it sound authentic. Okay, one more lesson, Aries 15, illness and health. This focuses on aspect and auxiliary verbs. We see SIP complements.
Right. You take the main verb, add the SIP suffix, which is often called a converb, and then follow it with an auxiliary verb like bak, try, ball, become, to, they continue, qual, remained up, ket, leave, go away, kuaioputalo.
And these auxiliaries add nuances, like how the action happens.
Exactly. They modify the meaning subtly. Yi is eat, but yebak is try eating, have a taste. Kiri is enter, but kirip might imply entering and then promptly leaving, or entering decisively. It adds a spectral flavor.
The handbook lists quite a few more auxiliaries too. Bar, bor, tashla. It's a whole system for fine-tuning verb meanings.
It's crucial for expressing these subtleties. The lesson also notes a common contraction. Verbs ending in L-I-P-P often become just LP, so bolop becomes bop. just faster speech.
And the plus C suffix makes things without something. Tooth, salt, becomes tusis, salt-free.
Yep, the privative suffix creates opposites easily. Then it loops back to possessives, time, numbers, reinforcing earlier stuff.
So looking beyond the grammar points, the handbook hints at the bigger picture too, like mentioning other writing systems, the Latin-based Yengi Yezik and Cyrillic.
Yeah, that immediately tells you about the language's complex history, the Soviet influence, the pinyin-based experiment. Language doesn't exist in a vacuum.
And the loanwords reinforce that. Persian key, Russian words like plan or velocipede, bicycle, maybe some Chinese influence too. It's a crossroads language.
Definitely. You see the layers of contact. And sometimes cultural practices are embedded, like there's listen, pass on for teaching, and there's angla, lessons for learning, reflects a traditional classroom dynamic, perhaps influenced by Chinese models.
That's fascinating. Or the importance of saying where you got information using NPAS plus commanding. In my opinion, or according to me.
Right. Acknowledging your source or perspective seems culturally valued. It promotes a certain kind of conversational clarity.
And politeness markers like keeping the past tense when replying or using that auxiliary back way with requests to soften them into suggestions.
Little things that make a big difference in social interaction.
Yeah.
It shows respect and consideration. Kale might be, let me do it, but Kulabakwe is more like, let me try doing it, much gentler.
And of course, the handbook has exercises, negation, translation, description, plus those thematic vocab lists, essential for actually learning.
Absolutely. You need the active practice and the organized vocabulary to really internalize it all.
So looking back at our dive into greetings from the Teklimakan, it's really clear this isn't just about verb conjugations. It's a window.
It truly is. You get these glimpses into how eager speakers might categorize the world, interact politely, express certainty, all through the language itself. It's much deeper than just words and rules.
Yeah, it really underscores how much cultural insight can be packed into grammar and vocabulary. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What hidden assumptions or values are embedded in the structure of any language?
That's the big question, isn't it? Every language offers a unique map of human experience. Exploring them, even through a handbook like this, is always revealing.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Hopefully, exploring this handbook has given you some intriguing insights and maybe sparked some curiosity about language itself.
Until next time.